All right. Fake Spike Podcast, episode 93, the Marty Lyons episode, right? Marty Lyons, great sack exchange guy, now an announcer for the Jets. Joining me tonight, the long-awaited return. The guy got so upset he couldn't come back for a month.
Couldn't
Dr.
do it.
Stu, what's going on, pal?
Oh man, I was away. I had to go to a retreat. I needed therapy, the shock therapy. It was terrible.
I know. At one point, you were like, I'm too upset to do a podcast. I'm like, this is
I
when
can't.
you need to do the podcast, Stu, you know? But
Disgusting.
here we are.
Here
All
we
right,
are.
so I don't remember the last time we spoke. It was one of the disgusting games, so it had to be maybe the second New England game. It had to be the second.
It was the second New England game.
Second
Beautiful
New England game. Since then, the Jets have lost every game, and they are now 7-8. And but somehow, like 2009, I've been making the comparisons. Somehow, like 2009, the Jets still have a chance
Yeah.
if they win their two games and Patriots lose one game. All very likely the Patriots lose a game. The Jets winning two, I'm not so sure, but we got a shot at the playoffs here. We got a legitimate
I know.
shot.
Rob, what are they doing to us? Are they just? Is this like remember Charlie Brown and Lucy? She'd hold the football and she'd pull the fucking ball away. This is what
Every
it feels
time.
like. It's
Every
sucking
time.
us in. And I don't know whether I'm happy that I can care and get excited and then be tortured, which I know I am happy about that.
Yeah.
Or because we had what have we had over the last however many years.
When was the last time on January 1st we had a legitimate shot and we're like, okay, well, it had to be 2015. Was that game in January? I'm going to have to look that up.
Look that up. I don't know.
Yeah, 2015,
Ancient
the Ryan
history,
Fitzpatrick meltdown. All right. That was, I'm going to look it up.
Okay. Well, actually, they won in 2015. That was the Patriot game, or was that 17? When Belichick kicked in overtime, he decided to kick the ball
Yeah,
away.
that was 2015. That was the week before the
Okay.
final game, and then the Jets blew it too. They blew it
against
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
The Rex Ryan return
Yeah.
game. That was
But that game
January 3rd.
That
January
was because
3rd,
it was
2016.
December? Yeah.
So it
December
has been
20?
7 years since we have had. It's been 7 years since we've had playoff. Not playoff. We've had hope and cared about games in November, much less now January. So yeah, I would say I'm happy. I'm not happy with some of the way things have turned out. I'm not happy that the quarterback situation is back in the same old loop it always is. But I have to say that it's nice not to be rooting for a draft pick for once. And then you get some guys saying, "Oh, it's better if they lose the last two, they get the better draft pick." I'm like, no. Going from 20 to 16 is not worth. I'd rather be in the playoffs. Give me a playoff.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. Like when you were in the top few, it matters. When you're
Right.
down here, it doesn't matter because you can get a guy that's great.
You're not going to be in the top 5. It's not worth rooting for the draft.
No.
pick.
You know what? These young guys need the playoff experience, and
Hell yeah.
we need the fun and excitement of it. It's way more important than a stupid few picks a little bit higher. Who's to say they
No
get it right?
question. Yeah,
So.
the young guys getting the experience is a great point. It's one I bring up all the time. These young guys, if you want them to learn how to win, they're not going to do it playing games in September. Let them get a big game in January where it really matters. And I keep going back to that 2009 team. That 2009 team was pretty much the same as it is now. The offense fell apart. You had a rookie quarterback no one trusted. They had no shot, and then they did. And it's almost like what it is now. So if the Jets get in, maybe they can. They're not going to win the Super Bowl, obviously, and their first game is going to be against KC. So I don't think there'll be a magical run this year. But just getting in would be fun. See the Jets there's your playoff experience. Let them play the Chiefs in the first round. That will be your playoff experience right there.
And you know what? First of all, the truth of the matter is anything can happen any given Sunday once you're in. You need to win 3 games.
Yep.
So shit can happen. Get in, and we'll enjoy the ride.
Playoffs start this weekend. Right? You can't lose. You gotta win all your games. So the Jets,
Playoffs
even if they
starts
don't make the playoffs, if somehow New England wins both games, the Jets still need to win. And if they win both, there's a very good chance that they keep playing. So the playoffs start this weekend. Yeah,
And you're heading out there to Seattle, I hear.
I am. I will be in
lucky
Seattle
dog.
with my wife and a buddy of mine, and
that's
we'll be
great.
checking the game out. Yeah, it'll be my 28th stadium or something like that.
Fucking can't stand the Seahawk fans. They do that Seahawk. When I went to the Jet, last time they came to MetLife, I don't know if it was MetLife, whatever it was, and they beat the shit out of us, and they were all screaming. I wanted to just punch all of them. So
That's MetLife for you. You get nothing but fans of the other team. It's awful.
Yeah.
Well, Minnesota does Skull. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that chant, right? Skull.
Oh yeah. You had a
They
good
beat
time
the
with your
drum.
sons.
Yeah. And then there's the little kid with no shirt and the gold chains. I mean, I don't even know what goes on there. It's just whatever. But I'm looking forward to how loud Seattle is. I love loud stadiums. You go on the road and most of those stadiums are loud. They're not like MetLife where it's dead and you have to be told to cheer on third down. It's a lot of fun. So looking forward to it.
Let's get into the game.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. This is, let me just, I think I said it was, Fake Spike 93. We are now on 93, YouTube and all podcast platforms. So check it out. I guess maybe I'll do the money for the right scores. What the hell? I'll get to that at the end of the podcast. Anyway, yes, talk to me, man. You haven't been around in a month. A lot to talk about. You go ahead, take the lead. Let's do it.
Well, listen, once again, we're in a situation where if the offensive line can't run the ball and they can't pass protect, can't win. In the running game, I mean, we know Zach was a disaster. He was, no doubt about it. But the fact of the matter is the running game became non-existent. And if that continues Sunday, you're going to have a miserable time on your trip.
Well,
Yeah, so that's why I'm wearing the Mangles.
Nick Mangold. I've been to 28 or 29 stadiums now, and the Jets have been bad for and somehow every single year without fail, the last 8 years or something like that, the trips are in December. With the games I want to go to, the stadium I need to see is in December, and by then the Jets are always out of it. So I've made these trips about knocking the stadium off the list. So it won't be a miserable trip from that standpoint. Playing with house money at this point. But let me ask you this about the offensive line. Yes, the offensive line has not been good. I think the offensive line has been average. The last few weeks it has not. But I know you're making a face. Here's the question I have for you. Is the offensive line struggling, A, because Zach Wilson doesn't stay on the game plan a lot of the time? He's either staying back there too long, or B, more importantly, I think it's definitely B if it's only the A and B choices. You can give me a C if you want. B, they are stacking the line knowing that Wilson's not going to beat them. They are daring him to beat them, and he has not been able to do it. And LaFleur, to be fair, it's not all Wilson. LaFleur doesn't game plan for that either. It's almost like LaFleur does not know that these guys are going to be stacking the line against his quarterback. I mean, how do you not know that? I know that. You know that.
Well, yeah, I think it's pathetic. And I think that possibly what happened was, first of all, you lost your best run blocker in AVT, and you lost your best running back in Breece Hall. Fine. The next 2 weeks, they ran the ball decently well. And then LaDonovan came in, he ran the ball decently well. To me, I'm thinking that defenses figured out what the hell they were doing, and they run that ball to the left off tackle over and over again and get nothing. Nothing. So I think it's partly on LaFleur, no question. And then I wonder, Herbert came in the first couple of games and he played he played so well. And lately he's not been playing well at all. You watch the game, he misses tackles. He's not blowing anybody off the line. He's been a disaster. Fant, I thought when George Fant came back in, he was going to improve the line. He's sucked since he's been back. I heard he's hurt, but he's been
awesome last year, and they signed him because he was so awesome. And now look at him. Yeah, he's been awesome.
And he's got experience left tackle. This is not about he's playing out of position. He played right tackle. So
he played left tackle last year, and this is why they ended up moving back. They were going to move back into right tackle because of it.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's the problem. And then Lakin Tomlinson is a disaster. He's disgusting. The guy can't block. And then Connor McGovern, I'm sorry, but you can't get if there's third and fourth with less than a yard, can the Jets move the ball 6 inches? No. And then left tackle, Brown's got to, listen, Brown, to be fair for him, they told him, listen, your shoulder's this bad. You can get surgery and be out for the year. So he's playing hurt. So I don't know. They're all playing hurt. They're all playing, they're not playing up to potential. I don't like McGovern. I want them to get rid of him. I don't like Lakin. If they can get rid of him, I don't want him either because he's been terrible. So, and you're dealing with Herbert at right tackle. So the whole interior of the line has been unable to move the defensive line back. And if you don't get at least 3 yards on your first rush, then you're dealing with 2nd and 10.
I am very convinced because Mike White, Buffalo notwithstanding, Mike White, even with the line collapsing around him, managed to find enough time to hit receivers. I think Wilson holds the ball way too long. And I think that Wilson, I don't know if you saw that there was a meme going around this week with the stats of the line with Wilson and without. Without Wilson, when it's not Wilson, they're right around the middle of the pack, probably like upper half. With Wilson back there, they're lower third. They're 20.
I did see that. And that's certainly part of it is on him. Part of it is on which teams he's played. It's absolutely partly on him. He runs backwards. Wilson does not know what he's doing when he gets pressure on him. He runs sideways. He runs back. He dipsy doodles. You don't ever see him stand up in the pocket. You don't ever see him be able to step up in the pocket. And if he does, he doesn't go the right way. Mike White has a good feel for that. But listen, Mike White was out for the last 2 weeks because the offensive line almost got his ribs, broke. Not almost. Yep. They almost got him killed. They broke his ribs. So it's not. The offensive line's been playing terrible, and they haven't been able to run the ball. And if you don't run the ball, you can't do anything. And of course, you're right. On top of the fact that they're not doing anything, they know Zach Wilson isn't going to be making the good decisions.
Right.
So
it's chicken or the egg. I mean, you can make an argument either way, but I think it
starts with the offensive line to me.
It starts with the offensive line, but I'm going to put it in there. I'm not going to defend the offensive line as being good by any stretch, but I don't think it's as bad as it's been portrayed. Yes, it almost got White killed, no question about it. But you could put a little bit of that on White as well because he has no mobility. You go from Wilson, who is very mobile and immediately is looking to escape the pocket and run around, to White, who is like he's got cement in his shoes. He can't move at all. And man, that dude's got balls though. I'll tell you, that dude has balls. That second hit he took, the way he was almost split in half. I mean, he jackknifed on that play, and he stood there and took it.
I agree with you, and that's one of the things I do love about him. When you get third and long, and you're getting hit, how many of those has he completed? A lot. I know. And he stands in there and he gets whacked, and he can step up, and he's tough as nails, and he's confident. So I like that, and so the plays get that extra few steps. The wide receivers get those extra few steps, and he throws the ball. The question is, he's got to wear something to protect his ribs this week. But if they don't run the ball, it's going to be miserable. They don't even have to run it a lot, just a little. You can't get no yards on first down. You can't when you run the ball.
They should come out and play action on first down and go deep. I don't care if the pass is completed or not. They need to loosen up the defense right away and not throw a short little dumpy pass that goes nowhere, then try and run on second down. So now you're in a 3rd and 8 on every goddamn effing drive. That's what LaFleur does. And it seems like Jets offensive coordinators going back years and years have done this. They run on second down after going nowhere on first, and all you do is put your team in a 3rd and long almost every time like that. How often are you going to get more than a couple of yards in that situation? It's just over and over again. And again, not a defensive Wilson, because I think Wilson, I'm not on the camp where he sucks, get rid of him, this and that, but he's just not ready. It's very clear he's not ready. He's got a lot of progress he needs to make. But, at some point, you cannot keep putting the kid in 3rd and 8, on 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12 on every single drive. He's never going to succeed. I mean, everybody likes to throw to big quarterbacks. Brady couldn't succeed on 3rd and 12 every single time. He just couldn't,
No,
so
and he never did.
They didn't do him any favors. No, Brady is another one. When he's under pressure, he doesn't do well either. But he's just always got such a good offensive line.
Exactly, and look what Kansas City did when Mahomes had that problem in the Super Bowl. They went out and got two studs. They got Tooney and they got the left tackle. I forget his name. They made sure that they got they made the trade. Remember? So
that was the guy that the Jet fans wanted, and then they got mad when he went to the Chiefs. Like who's not going to go to the Chiefs over the Jets 2 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on.
So, but yeah, so you need to have that. The Jets have a real good chance because I think on the other side of the ball, defenses have figured out what Seattle's doing. And, Geno had that run. Everybody was happy. Oh, gee, we need Geno back, please. And now we're seeing Geno the way Geno is.
The Jet fans are in not mid-season, but mid-off-season form right now, where every guy that's out there, they're like, we got to have Derek Carr is the latest one. I mean, we're going to trade. No, you don't want to trade for Derek Carr. I mean, why would you trade for a guy who's making that much money and has been cast off by his team in the middle of a playoff race? I mean, they don't have a real shot, like a real good shot, but they kicked them off the team. I mean, come on.
I can't agree with you more. I was tweeting about that today and got like about 300 likes on that. People were like, thank you. Saying the same what you just exactly said. Why do we want another team's cast off?
That's all we do.
Derek Carr's 31. He'll be 32 next year. Yeah. And he's proven to them that he can't take it. They got Devontae Adams for him. He's got Waller. He's got one of the best running backs in football this year. And Renfro is the wide receiver too. So you're telling me we want to bring that guy in who can't even function with those guys? Forget it. Stop it. If he was that good, Josh McDaniel would keep him, and they'd figure it out. They wouldn't bench the guy for the last 2 games, and this nonsense that it's all about his salary is stupid. Every team wants to win. Vegas is a new stadium. You think their fans are going to tolerate that if the guy really could make them win? That they wouldn't keep him for the last 2 games? It's ridiculous. Yeah. So no, I don't want Carr, and I don't want Minshew, and I don't want Geno.
No, I don't want Geno. Minshew I would not mind, but not as the number one choice. If things don't work out and it comes down to it, I would take Minshew over some of these other guys. Minshew is a lot like Mike White. He's got balls. He'll stand in there. I just don't think he has a very high ceiling. He's not going to be the guy to take you, but if you need a caretaker, I think you could do worse than Minshew.
But I think you just said the magic words for me. He's Mike White. Why just not keep Mike White? Why go for a guy like that?
Mike White, you got to make sure Mike White can stay healthy. I mean, that's my only concern with White at this point. He's not. I doubt very much he's as good as he appeared at his best, and I doubt he's going to just turn into a pumpkin either. So he's obviously probably a mid-level starting quarterback who's never going to really get you over the top unless you surround him with a ton of talent, and probably not sink you either. But I'm concerned about his injuries. I mean, he's had 5, 7, 8, whatever it is, opportunities over 2 years, and he's gotten hurt every single time. So
the
lack of mobility is a problem.
But, Minshew got hurt as well, and he really didn't make it over there in Jacksonville. Right. So now where is he, in Philadelphia? Look, we want a guy that's there next year to manage the team, like a Mike White type, while Zach Wilson's on the bench, hopefully figuring it out. And they'll know by the end of next year whether he did or he didn't. And then he'll be gone, and they're going to have to restart. Maybe they go for Garoppolo.
You and I have made. I hope they don't go. He's another injury-prone guy. You and I have made bets like this before, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Is one guy posted somewhere on Facebook today? I'm in so many Jets groups. Said that the Jets will get no worse than a number 3 pick for Zach Wilson, and of course everybody went off on him. Like, are you kidding? They take a number 3 for him right now if they could. What are your thoughts on what the Jets can get for Zach Wilson if they try and exploit a trade market?
Are you talking about a 3rd round pick?
Yes.
I think if you look at teams will think that the Jets screwed up and that the guy's raw and it's still young. Josh Rosen I think even went for a 2nd round pick, and you saw what they got for Darnold. So at this stage of the game, I would say it's the same. He's even got more upside than Darnold did when they traded Darnold, theoretically. Because of his age and experience. Right. He's like and more talent. I mean, he's got more arm talent and all that. Somebody will think, hey, gee, we can do it. And I think that's probably the Jets. So they should. I would expect they would get the same thing they got for Darnold.
2 and a 6?
I think they got 2 and 4 for Darnold.
2, 4. Oh no, 2, 4 and a 6. They got a 2, 4 and a 6.
Yeah.
Really?
I do. I think they would.
Smell another bet. I smell another bet.
I'll bet you this: they're not trading him in this offseason.
I don't think so either. I'm going to go with you on that one. I think Wilson will be here next year. Yeah. I think the Jets saw a lot in him, and I don't think they're quite ready to say, Christ, he's freaking so bad we're going to give up on him. I think they're just going to keep him on the bench until he's ready, and if he's never ready, he's going to wallow back there, and then he'll be an afterthought at some point. He'll get cut or traded as part of a deal or whatever, but I don't think it'll be a trade of Zach Wilson for draft picks. I think he'll be packaged as part of something after next year. I don't think it'll be next year. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, that's what I think will happen. And because they don't want to have egg on their face either, where he goes somewhere and does develop. Then how do you look? And how do you feel? Because so you can't have that happen. So they're not going to risk it, and it's not a smart move. You still got the guy. You've already invested this much time into him, and you should be able to develop the guy. You can't go into next season with him as the starter.
No, you have to do it the smart way. You should do it the way you should have done it in the first place, which was realize that he's raw and a project, and sit him down between a vet that he can learn from, and keep him on the practice squad. Whatever you got to do, but make him learn and develop him. Throwing him to the wolves, it's like 3 times now, not the answer. He needs to sit. He needs to learn, and if it doesn't work out, he goes. But you cannot. I agree. You cannot stick him back out there as a starter next year. You just can't. He's got to earn.
So now talk a little bit about the defense, because I was very disappointed in the defense last week.
I've been disappointed in the defense for several weeks. I gave them the overrated tag about a month and a half ago. People told me I was crazy, but they've just been proving it more and more that they're a little bit overrated. I don't think they're horribly overrated. I don't think it's a bad defense. I just think that their tackling is kind of suspect. They give up a lot of big 3rd downs. They give up a lot of big chunk plays. I call them chunk plays. And here's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is they don't take the ball away from the other team. They just don't. And you can't be a big-time elite defense if you're missing tackles, giving up big plays, and you're not taking the ball away. It's just that simple. The offense has not been great at all by any stretch, but it is not like previous years where the defense is on the field for 46 minutes because the other team's playing ball control. No, the defense is doing this shit early in games. I mean, Jacksonville, Detroit, they both came out with long drives and just kept eating the clock. These teams have figured out how to beat this defense. And the last 2 weeks, I got to tell you, I'm really nervous about that little out pass in the flat to the tight end. I mean, they've been getting 20 and 30 yards several times a game with that pass. Somebody's going to have to defend that play.
I agree with you. I think I don't like first of all, Quinnen went out. Let's back it up. You're right about the takeaways. Once they stop taking the ball away, they stop winning. B, they don't stop teams on third downs. They've been letting them get third downs. Lawrence tore him up like he was Tom Brady, which made me sick. That long drive, like you said, but each one on third down. But they got some yards first down, got some yards second down, and then converted. They're not taking the ball away. And, of course, when Quinnen was out for the game and a half, that was impossible. What did he do? First play last week, strip sack.
Yep.
The defense didn't convert.
He's been a beast this year.
He's been a beast, but he missed a lot of that game. If you notice, like my son and I were looking at each other, like, where's Quinnen? Now I'm happy. I'm hopeful that it's 10 days since the last game, and that calf maybe is completely healed. Because, like you said, he's a beast. You got to get pressure. I like when they come with secondary blitzes. They do it rarely, but when they do it, it works. They don't. Like we've seen Sauce blitz and he actually should have the sack in the end zone. We've seen Whitehead do it. I think they need to do that a little bit. This just rushing four and not getting pressure on the quarterback isn't working. It does work in the fourth quarter only if you get to that point. They haven't gotten to that point lately. So I think they need to show me something more creative. Ulbricht's been good, better than I thought. And I'll cop to the fact that I thought I was wrong with LaFleur last year. I liked how he finished with all the different quarterbacks. He showed me nothing. Ulbricht, the opposite. I was not happy with him, and he's shown me a lot. But now I got to see a little bit something different because this ain't working, like you point out.
Right. You need adjustments. We
got to blitz a little bit.
Yeah, it seems that the other teams, the teams we're playing, have adjusted to us, and we haven't readjusted to them. Earlier in the year, we seemed to be making adjustments on a game-by-game basis and a quarter-by-quarter basis. We finished strong in the fourth quarter several games. It looked like
100%.
These rotations that they do that were driving people crazy because the stars weren't in there at much. We're keeping them fresh, and we were dominating late in the game. It's just things have kind of fallen apart lately, and they have an opportunity to get it together and still be playing meaningful football. So let's hope they can do it. The defense I think is a guy or two short of really being a special unit, but we'll have to see.
I agree there. So I feel like if we see a couple of blitzes tomorrow, I'll be happy. If they get pressure on Geno, he's a disaster with pressure, just like most, but he's pretty bad. And that their running game has been crap at Seattle. They had a good second half last week. I was just reading about this on The Athletic, that they were not running the ball well at all during this losing streak that they've got, which is worse than the Jets' losing streak. And the second half they ran well. So let's see. We got to stop the run. We got to run, and we got to stop the run.
It would suck for Geno to beat us.
Oh, yeah.
And we got to have to hear more about how we should have held on to him because these guys don't have patience in a year and a half. They would have waited 8 years for Geno to develop.
Yeah, right.
And now the whole Sam Darnold thing is starting. Oh, I told you we shouldn't have got rid of him. Get the fuck out of here. Sam Darnold is playing fairly well. He missed half the season between benchings and injuries, and then last week the team ran for 300 yards. You or me can go in there and play well if the team's going to run for 300 yards. I mean, come on. So I'm not ready to say, we should have kept Sam Darnold. That's just a bunch of horse shit too.
Yeah, the only reason that I thought at the time to keep Sam Darnold was to trade the pick.
Yes,
for that was the reason because I thought the team was so devoid of talent, which it was. That if they traded the pick, they would be able to build a team and then go get a quarterback after that. But I wasn't saying it because I thought Sam Darnold was good, but he played with zero talent around him. That poor guy.
No, I get it. That is very true, and I am of the strong opinion that the keeping Darnold and trading the picks are not mutually exclusive. If you want to trade Darnold, if you want to keep Darnold, you could trade the picks, but you can also trade the picks if you don't keep Darnold, then go get a vet or do whatever. I think it would have been wise to trade the picks, but let's you talk about the business side of football, right? There's no way the Jets were keeping Darnold. The writing was on the wall long before they actually traded him. It is between a GM that's in his second year that didn't draft Darnold, a coach coming in his first year that didn't draft Darnold, his third year finishing up where they had to make a $20 million decision on whether to keep him or not. There was no way the Jets were keeping Darnold. So I even said it at the time. It is the right move, regardless of whether 3 years from now, whoever we take sucks. It was the right move to trade Darnold at the time. So, and we got Breece Hall out of it. We got Breece Hall out of it. So,
and now this year it's the same logic as why they're not going to get rid of Zach Wilson this offseason. They're going to give him another year. Same reason.
Because he's only in year 2, and they get a big salary cap hit, and they have 2 more years with him. So they might get rid of him next year, but they're not going to. I don't think they're going to do it this year.
I don't think so either. I would bet heavily that they will not.
Well, they're also in a different position. Like you said, Darnold played with no talent, none at all.
None.
I totally stipulate that. Wilson has a lot of talent, and the Jets are no longer in a position to go get a rookie quarterback. They will not. You mark my words. I'm putting it here. Anybody watching, listening, whatever, the Jets are not going to go draft another rookie quarterback to be their quarterback. They may draft a guy in the later rounds. They may draft one next year, like not this coming year, the year after, and then let him sit. But the Jets now are pretty much built. They need a couple of pieces. They are no longer in a position to sit around and develop a rookie quarterback. So you can bet, and anybody out there, go ahead, put it in the comments. I will bet you anything you want that the Jets will not be the next regular quarterback of the Jets will not be a rookie that they go out and draft. And it's certainly not drafting a rookie in the first round this year. It's out of the question. They're not going to draft their third quarterback in 4 years, or 5 years.
There are 2 things that they will likely pick in that first round. One is the tight end from Notre Dame, Mayer, I think is phenomenal kid. Depends upon where they pick, and otherwise they're going to go for another offensive lineman. They need another one, unfortunately, but they do. And an inside offensive lineman will come more ready than the tackles do to produce right away, and that's who they should go for. But it's going to depend upon where they pick and who's available. But you can mark that down too. They're going to take one of those 2, in my opinion.
Well, let's see. 14 teams make the playoffs, so the Jets are going to be right. If they don't make the playoffs, they're going to be right in that 14 to 17 area, right?
Right.
And if they do make the playoffs, they're going to be 18 or 19 because they're very likely to lose to the Chiefs in the first round. So you got to figure the Jets are going to be picking somewhere between the 14 or 15 to 18 or 19 range. So that's
and a little bit late because they happen to have a strength of schedule for the Jets was high. So they probably will, like you said, if they don't make the playoffs, probably later toward the back end of what you said, 16, 17. And if they make the playoffs, they'll lose to the Chiefs and they'll pick 22. Or we'll have some kind of crazy,
Well, no, 14 teams, right? There's 32 teams. 14 would be 8. No, they would pick 18 or 19 because they would be the 7th seed here. So if the 7th seeded team in the NFC lost, then one of the 2 of them would pick 18 and the other would pick 19.
There you go. And in that range, you'll get one of those 2 guys if you want it. There's a couple of good offensive linemen available, but I don't even want to talk about that right now because we finally have a chance.
We don't have to talk about the
For
draft.
once, we don't have to. It came out of the
Sinking
conversation of they're not drafting a quarterback, which you're right. They will not. They're going to go for more offense, and they're going to go. And the reason I say tight end is because they can block, and it takes pressure off the quarterback. And obviously,
didn't they just draft Ruckert?
Yeah, which it's possible that they're going to let him develop, and maybe I'm wrong about that. But they'll go for an offensive lineman.
Yeah. At the 16 to 18 range, I don't think they get a top pass rusher, so I'm thinking they might draft a pass rusher, but I'm thinking maybe a linebacker. They need a linebacker or an offensive lineman. Those are the 3 things I would want in the first round. A pass rusher, a linebacker, whether it's a pass rusher or not, and an offensive lineman. Those are the 3 things I'd be looking at.
The only thing is I'm loving Clemens. I mean, when he hits the quarterback, I just get a chill. I'm so happy. And, Jermaine Johnson, he's a man,
smile
too.
On your face there.
I do. I love that. I love when he folds them up and beats the shit out of them. When he chased down that bitch, Mac Jones. And, my God, I can't stand that guy. Don't even get me started.
Mac Jones?
What a horror. Did you see the compilation?
He wears,
No, well, that's part of it. Yeah, of course. That's the first reason. But all the things that the guy does to try to hurt, kicks players in the balls, dives at players.
Really?
Oh, you didn't see that?
No.
Oh my God! Against Brian Burns, against when he played against Carolina. He actually held onto his leg and twisted it and injured his knee last year.
Wow.
He kicked the Chicago Bear guy. He was doing the slide thing. He kicked the guy in the balls purposely. And last week, he threw an interception, and the guy was running the ball back. And so the guy who ran it back was ahead of him, like say at the 10. He's at the 30, and there was a player, one of the defensive players just running down the field. He dove at the guy's knees behind the play.
Perfect.
Just
for
a
Belichick.
dirty
Yeah.
piece of shit. Yeah, perfect for Belichick. So
I
I
did
can't
not know
stand
this. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, you gotta look it up. Look up the videos. It's disgusting.
Well, then I'm on the fuck Mac Jones train too, because
Fuck you.
I don't need reasons to like him. So
Right.
whatever the case may be. All right, so let's do a little Seattle preview
Let's
and
do it.
talk about what we think is going to happen here. So it's December. Well, it's January technically, but it's a late season game, and we know the Jets when they need these games usually don't do well. So, but
Sadly.
logically, the Jets match up well, and they should play. They should play well against this team. I think, especially with White in there, the Jets should be able to right the ship. So, do I go with my superstition or do I go with my logic? I'm not so sure.
Well, what are you feeling like? What are you leaning toward?
I think they lose. I mean, I cannot get around the superstition because the superstition's always going to tell me they're going to lose, and then the logic side tells me that it's essentially a coin flick. They're on the road, coin flip. They're on the road, tough environment against a team that's really not that bad. I mean, this is not. I mean, this is not who they beat. I mean, who have they beaten up on this year that they should have beaten up on? Not the Bears. This is not the Bears. So I don't know.
No, it's not the Bears.
Yeah, if I had to say, I'd say the Jets will lose this game, and then they put us out of our misery a week early. But there's always a chance.
I mean, like you said, I can understand the same feeling. I have the same feeling. Like they're just raising our hopes to crush us. Get Dr. Stu some more clients.
Crushing
But
your head.
I'm crushing your head. No, I feel like you said, it's true they match up well. Geno's been playing like shit. They really don't have a running game. The defense is getting Quinnen back after 10 days. He should be healthy. I love the matchup. I love not the matchup, but I love the mano a mano between Gardner and Tariq, whatever his name is over there in Seattle. Because this game could decide who the defensive rookie of the year is.
Or Lockett, yeah.
Tariq Wooden, I think his name is. Their cornerback, who is
Corner.
also made
Didn't
the
you
Pro
say?
Bowl.
Did you say Gardner?
So Sauce Gardner, our guy, and then also their cornerback.
Oh, not a direct matchup. Got it.
Not a direct matchup, but they both made the Pro Bowl. That guy's a 5th-round pick. Of course, Sauce is our guy.
I see he's a 4th overall pick.
Yes, sir. And so I'm curious to see who shines here, if they even throw at Sauce, since they didn't last week. We'll see what happens there, or 2 weeks ago they didn't. And I feel like the running game, it's possible that neither team will be able to run the ball.
Seahawks are terrible against the run. They need to be able to run against this team.
If Seahawks are terrible against the run, that's helpful.
I think they're 31st, if I read correctly somewhere.
Really?
So I think they're 31st against the run out of 32 teams. So
that's a good sign.
That is a very good sign. Let's hope we can take it. Let's hope LaFleur read that too.
Right.
Because he doesn't seem to always know what the the other team's weaknesses are. It's very important to
Hang
know.
on, I'll text him. Yeah, it's very.
Please,
I mean,
please,
he's got
if
to.
you got him on
If
speed
that's the not if that's the case, obviously he wouldn't be saying if it wasn't true. That's very encouraging for me to hear that, because we have to run the ball. If we run the ball, we're going to win the game. And like you said, Mike White isn't going to be foolish. He's not going to, he's not going to throw the ball away. And Geno, I feel like we're going to win the turnover. It's easy to say if we win the turnover battle, we win the game. But I feel like we'll win the turnover battle. The Jets' defense is better than the Seattle defense. Their Seattle defense is not very good. So if they rise up, I think last week they're pissed off, like you and I both said. They've been disappointing the last couple of weeks. They gave up that 51-yard bullshit touchdown to Detroit to lose the game. And yeah, I know. And then they couldn't get off the field on 3rd down last week. So
I still can't get over how wide open that guy was for 30 yards with nobody even anywhere near him. I just that doesn't happen in the NFL. That's a college player right there.
And then last week, I know, fucking Jets. Last week, the Jaguars ran the same play and it was open. Wasn't as
Well,
wide open.
that's what I said earlier. Is these teams have figured that out? The Jaguars ran that play 3 or 4 times, and they kept getting huge chunk plays every single time, and the Jets can't seem to defend it. I don't know. I don't know whether they stopped being able to defend it or no one figured it out until now. But 17 games into the season, suddenly they're ripping off huge plays on a basic play.
I mean, it was a short week, no excuse, because so was the Jaguars were on a short week too. But whatever. This week, I feel like I do think, and I hate to even say it too, because I'm scared, because we've been tortured for our entire lives. I think the Jets will beat Seattle. Okay. And I think they're going to do it like 25, like a dumb score, like 25-18. I feel like that kind of score.
Okay.
And then they go into Miami, and we'll see what happens with Tua. If Tua plays, it's going to be tough. If Tua doesn't play, we kicked their ass last time without him.
Yeah, I think Tua is done. I don't think he's going to play again this year. I think
if
they
Tua
pretty
doesn't
much
play,
announced that without announcing it. So,
if they do that, the game that New England plays this week is against Miami with Bridgewater, decent. I think New England's terrible, personally. I don't know how we lost to them twice, and I know the answer is Zach Wilson.
So one of the games was definitely Zach Wilson. The other was a conglomeration. So.
A conglomerate, yeah, right. And also, that's another thing. Thank you for reminding me. I think the special teams is going to show up this week. They have been an unmitigated horror show after playing very well in the beginning of the year and during this losing streak, from the New England game to the Detroit game. Just an unmitigated horror. And I think that they'll play well this week, too. I don't think the coaches are bad, but my God. So I think the Jets win.
All right, so that's your realistic. So give me your best case and your worst case along with it. And then
the best case scenario is that the offensive line allows the Jets to run the ball, and they run for like 150, 175 yards. They will dominate the game under that. I don't see it happening.
That's why.
Also, that's the best case. That's the best case, that they run the ball, and I think that they will absolutely stonewall Seattle. So it's possible for a real lopsided game in that case. Like a 27-3.
All right.
That's best case. That's crazy. Realistic, I think 25. My actual, I think, is 25-18.
Okay.
And my worst case.
How did they get to 18 and 25? Is there safeties in there? Missed field goals?
Extra points.
I
think some stupid shit's gonna happen.
Maybe the first ever 1-point safety. You never know.
I don't know. I'm thinking 25-18. Who knows? Going for twos, missing. I don't know why. Write it down now. Well, you don't have to write it down. We're on the podcast. And then I think that the worst case scenario is that Mike White gets hurt early. They can't run the ball at all, and they only score another 3 points, and they'll give up whatever. I think that'll lead to turnovers. So they're going to give up 24 points or something. So 24-3. Is the worst case. It's a nightmare.
All right. Well, my worst case is pretty much the same. Is White either gets hurt or is ineffective, and the Jets are in one of their classic tailspins where things just go worse, and then they level off because you can't get much worse. So they're probably in that leveling off stage now. So we could see a similar game to last week. The defense, as bad as it's been in some instances, seems to buckle down most of the time. They never get blown out. They never like have consistent bad play. It's just been sporadic bad play that kind of screws things up. So I say that continues with the defense. So the worst case, I'll start with the worst case. The worst case is they lose fairly big, but the defense doesn't give up a lot of points. Jets will put up a field goal or two, maybe a touchdown and a field goal, whatever. Jets lose 27-10 is the worst case. I don't think they lose by 30. Best case is Mike White does what he does when he has time, and the run game works because White's back there and not Wilson, and Geno Smith continues his turning into a pumpkin, and the Jets. I don't think the Jets blow them out either way. I mean, it's a tough road game, and the Jets don't blow anybody out. So I say if in the best case scenario, the Jets win something like let's call it mid-level score. I'm going to say 24-14. Okay, so we'll give them a 10-point victory. Realistically, I don't think the Jets win this game. I think it's going to be an ugly, low-scoring game with turnovers and just bad quarterback play. I have a bad feeling that White's going to get hurt early because he's going to take a pop and whatever. But I think realistically, even if White does play the whole game, it could be a tough game for the Jets. I think it'll be fairly low scoring and they lose a tight one. Now, whether or not they're down and come back and make it close or vice versa and lose, I don't know, but I think it'll be a tight one. We'll call it 17-16. Very, very low scoring, 1 point, very close. I think realistically they lose a heartbreaker, and then we're sitting there saying it's another game they could have or should have won.
Very realistic. I think you're,
It's the Jets.
I couldn't. It's the Jets. So,
It's the Jets,
I do feel like Gino's going to fumble once, lose the fumble, and throw a pick.
We're going to get 2 turnovers this week. That would be equal to what we've gotten in the last 6 games. That's a bold prediction. That's bolder than that's bolder than the other ones. All right, everybody. As normal, as usual, I am going to give away some money. So listen, pay attention. If you predict the Jets score and do not predict whether they win or lose correctly. So if you say the Jets are going to win 10-7 and the Jets lose 13-10, you get $10 for predicting the Jets score. If you pick the Jets score correctly and predict whether they win or lose, it's 25. So if you say the Jets are going to lose 36-17 and the Jets score 17 and lose, regardless of the other team, $25. And if you get the score right and the winner right, Jets or not, you say, hey, the Jets are going to lose 36-31, and the Jets lose 36-31. It's $50 from me, Amazon. So little motivation there. I'm going to tell everybody they have to listen to this to get together. I'm not going to put it in the post. I'm going to tell them listen to the podcast and win your potential prize. So that's it. So to recap, predict the Jets score, win or lose, it's $10. Predict the Jets score and predict whether they win or lose, it's $25. And predict the entire score, win or lose, no matter who you predict, and it's $50. So there you go. Rob the Darksider throwing some cash out there to anybody who wants to get involved.
You're like Mr. Beast now, throwing cash around.
Yeah, I'm throwing a total of $35 around. I'm really rolling in the riches here. If I can get past,
you got to start somewhere.
16 listeners, we'll be in good shape. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got, I'll put it on my Twitter feed. I got a couple of thousand followers.
Look at you.
We'll go from there.
Dr. Stu.
Yeah.
Look at you, Dr. Stu. It rhymes. All right, buddy. Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
I will see you on the other side. Let's hope I bring back a win from the Great Northwest. All right.
Do it for us. Do it for us, bro. Mr. Rob.
Johnny. All right, guys.
Yeah. Love you, pal.
All right, Stu. Happy New Year, buddy. Talk to you soon. Fake Spike Podcast 93 in the books. Take care, everybody. Happy New Year. Talk to you after. Bye-bye.